3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into, start right, good line, good view, it drew, shoot and make Gavin, 2 thumbs that's up high and 2.
On the SQAIRZ podcast, man, this is such a cool episode. This week we got Shawn Lindo, IFBB Pro. Quick little Manscaped read, manscaped.com, OTS Golf, 20% off plus free shipping. You can get whatever products you want. You're probably gonna look like Shawn if you use them, right? So, disclaimer, that might not be true. I can't verify that, but Shawn Lindo, man, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate this one. I was just saying it's like a walk down memory lane for me, man. How are you doing?
Thank you, brother. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. I'm doing good, man. I'm hot. I'm here in Florida, Mark, but it's hot. But hey, summer and it's Florida, so it's to be expected.
Yeah, I was saying like a couple weeks ago we were down in Texas. It'd be pretty similar weather, and like up here, if we're converting it over to Fahrenheit, I guess it would be like right now we'd be in the 75, something like that, or in the middle of our days and stuff. It gets warm, just not as
Yeah.
hot, but unfortunately it gets humid, right? So when it gets really hot, when we hit those peak days, it feels like 40 degrees Fahrenheit. It just like it kind of sucks the air out of you. But yeah, man. So you're playing much golf right now? Are you getting out there and playing a lot right now?
Yeah. I've been playing a lot. So yes, I'm an IFBB Pro bodybuilder, and I do bodybuilding and fitness and all that type of stuff. Golf was never something that was on my to-do list, on my agenda. I used to see it and I'm like, oh, that looks all right.
Yeah.
I it's a funny thing. I never actually played it, but I follow it because of Tiger. You know what I mean?
All of us, man. Yeah, all of us.
Yeah, all right. So I followed it. I followed it because of him, and for me, I'm a sport fanatic. In a sense, I watch all sport and I follow like everything.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised some of the stuff that I'm following and are into sport wise. So as long as it catch my attention, I'm like, all right, I want to learn or try to understand this a little bit more. And pretty much was the same thing with golf. Um, what happened? So, I'm also a personal trainer. I have a lot of clients who are running businesses, and they're fine. They're good, and they play a lot of golf. And when I ask them what their goals are and things like that, a lot of the time they said, they want to work out, get in shape, and they don't want it to affect their golf playing and stuff like that. So I would have to look and come up with exercise that will help to strengthen their core, help with flexibility and things like that, gear around that. And I help a lot of them. And at times they'd be like, hey, do you want to come and try and play? And I'm like, nah, I don't know to play. I never, just like, don't worry about it. I'm like, nah. Because my thing is, I don't want to go and be so like embarrassed where I'm like, why did I even bother come?
Right, yeah.
So I would get invited to go. And finally one day I was like, all right, whatever. Let's give it a try. And I went, and to me, I was terrible. But to them, they was like, for a person who never practiced or don't know anything about the sport, you're doing okay. And I was like, okay, all right. So they was like, listen, if if you go and take some practice, that it should help you a lot. What helped me with that is being a natural athlete. As long as I understand what it takes, all I need to do, I just need to see it a couple times.
Did you play any like hockey or cricket or anything, like any stick sports games? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was on the track team, I was on the soccer team, and of course I play cricket because I'm from the island. I'm from Jamaica. So those are some of our main sports. As you know, you said, all those people, and the Reggae Boys, the Jamaican soccer team that made it to World Cup a while. I think it was in '95 or something like that.
Yeah, our Canadian team just qualified too, for the first time since like I think they said 1988 or something. Which
for
is
a minute.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome, man. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like that's always like my thought when we're talking to people who aren't, like lifelong golfers. I've been a lifelong golfer. I played it when I was a kid, and then I got away from it when I started bodybuilding because I couldn't fit the two together. Like they didn't work, right? So as soon as I started putting on a little bit of mass, I like completely got away from the game, and then I came back. But they're very like not conducive. So I feel like I was like rolling through, just flipping through reels or something like that. And then I think you
Yeah.
popped up and I was just like,
Oh,
holy man, like who is this guy? And how's he getting around on the ball? And then I saw that you were shooting, I think you had posted like a 92 or something like that. And I
yeah.
thought like,
Yeah.
immediately I sent you a message. I was like, hey Shawn, like we got to hook up. You got to come on, man. And like the title in my mind right away was like, the world's biggest bogey golfer or something like that. Like, you know, the world's biggest
Love
golfer or
that.
something. Like you have to be, right? Like there
Love
can't
it.
be too many people. Like you got to be what, 260, 270 in the off season?
In office, yeah, close to 270, more like 265, somewhere in that
Yeah.
ballpark, right around there.
Yeah, so like
So
do you find like any connection, or do you just draw from like maybe playing a little bit of cricket back in the day? Like is that kind
so
of, you know?
the thing is, like, you're on one spectrum of what we're talking about, and I'm on the other spectrum. You grew up playing golf,
Yeah.
and then you got into bodybuilding. I never played golf or anything like that. So I bodybuilt first, and then now I'm getting into golf.
Right.
And you're right. In a way, it's 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 talked about or looked at that you cannot do both. And I'm here to dispel that. That's one of my main goal is to dispel that,
I
right?
like it. I like it.
How am I going to do that? For me, I think if you understand what it takes in golf, how the body works, which I do very well, and understand that flexibility, when you're flexible, you could do like amazing thing with your body, right? Look at gymnasts who have a lot of muscles.
Yep.
They're in the air, flipping, twisting, running, and doing all these type of things. And if they could do that, how hard can it really be to swing a golf club?
For sure. I've always said that. I've always said gymnasts have to be like pound for pound the strongest athletes on the
Absolutely,
planet. Like it's
absolutely.
yeah, like the amount of mass that they can like, or the amount of muscle that they can move and like still, I don't know. It's they're freaks, man. Like it's so yeah, like I think it's definitely there. I grew up kind of in the Dorian Yates era. Like that was like
Okay.
kind of my guy, right? Like I'm in my I love it. Like like he's probably, I think Arnold's kind of like, you know, always a thought. We all read the encyclopedia, stuff like that,
Yeah,
right? But like
yeah,
Dorian Yates was kind of the guy that I got into, and then Ronnie Coleman, of course, which I wanted to
right.
tell you because I got a few buddies who listen to the podcast, and I got a Scotty Cameron putter. I don't know if you've heard of Scotty Cameron. So
Of course I know about
yeah,
that.
yeah. So I don't know where my buddy Curtis came up with this. Hopefully he's listening to the episode right now. I know Kirk will be. And one day he called it a Ronnie Coleman putter. We were playing golf one day and he's like, "Oh, like you got that Ronnie Coleman putter or whatever." So it just stuck with us the whole time. So that's something that I couldn't forget. Like during this episode, I had to bring that up because I thought it's been hilarious. But
Excellent.
obviously Ronnie Coleman's kind of like probably the
Ronnie,
greatest of
it's
all
Ronnie,
time, right? Like he's
it's Ronnie Coleman. Just
yeah,
that's
man.
it.
Tim Lee Haney, like hard to agree, like, very different eras, but like
Yeah.
two of the goats, right? So I think like that's kind of, I was really much into like almost like a bodybuilding for a powerlifting kind of like type, right? I'm a stocky
Okay.
guy. I'm like, 5'9", 5'10", and
Okay.
I got up to like almost 250. Like I was a pretty like just thick guy, right? So it was
Right.
almost like the idea was always to put on as much mass, move as much, I
Wait, that's
can't remember like what my numbers were, but like
yeah.
it was just a lot, right? So I just felt that when I was doing that, I wasn't focusing on flexibility, which we're seeing a lot of now. But even like guys back
Yeah.
in the day, like Flex Wheeler, like like super flexible guys, right? It was just
Oh my.
like,
Yeah.
I went through like an era where it was kind of a lost art, I think, right?
Yeah.
So now it's good to see, man. It's good to see that people are
Yeah.
practicing like elongating some of the muscles and stuff,
Correct.
right?
It's
So
it's it's even if you go back to Ronnie Coleman, if you watch some of his videos, he would get deep tissue massage, he would stretch and things like that. Because
yeah,
remember, he used to do split on stage, weighing way over 200 pounds.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot more than 200. So in order for him to do that, the flexibility is very important to do so.
yeah,
So once I understood that and said and realized like, okay, if I do this, it will help me to be able to swing the golf club better and move a little bit better. I was like, okay, I believe I could do this. And the other thing that also drive me and is still driving me, a couple of people when I got into it, when I say got into it, I just started, but it's not that long. they were like, "Oh, you got too much muscle. You know, you're not gonna be able to swing well. You know, if you look at most golfer, they're skinny. There's no one on the golf course as big as you and stuff like that." And I was just like, okay, but what does that have to do with anything? Because there isn't any doesn't mean that there shouldn't be any. So I'm gonna take this as a challenge in a good way and say I'm gonna prove that I could be 250, 255 and still, you know, do pretty decent on the golf course. And I did come down in weight. I'm weighing right now, I'm weighing 240, 244, 245. And that's because I basically went 8 months of just kind of just going through the motion of going to the gym,
Right.
not off of anything. I go in, I train my clients, and I leave. Every now and then, I would just pick up the weights and just play around a little bit. The last couple of weeks, I've been going 6 o'clock every morning and killing it every morning. I'm back to my meals, my 5, 6 meals again. So I know my weight is gonna blossom back up. But I'm not worried about that because the thing I said before, the stretching.
Yeah.
I'm sure that that is something that I stay on top of. And I go to the range every day or every other day to constantly get my body a bit more acclimated to what I needed to do for me. So I think once you're on top of those things. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Well, I kind of think of like, we talked about Tiger Woods and like that kind of
Yeah,
is what gets everybody into the game. Like that's what got me into watching the game, obviously. And like we have a lefty up here. I'm a lefty. So Mike Weir won a green jacket in 2003. So that was kind of like, another spot where I was like really getting into the game. I was a teenager, like, 14, 15 at the time. Right. So,
yeah,
but Tiger's Tiger, man. Everybody,
yeah,
everybody knows Tiger. Everybody loves Tiger. And
yeah.
nobody looked like Tiger. When Tiger came
No,
in, man, nobody had that kind of mass, nobody had that kind of size, right? Nobody had that type of
exactly,
swing. Like it's
exactly.
so it's, I'm not comparing you to Tiger or me to Tiger, unfortunately, but I'm just saying
Go down
that
out
different
there.
different bodies can, make it work in a different way, right? Like
Correct.
back in the day it was like kind of seen as a sport that was maybe, you'd have to train or anything like that. And there wasn't many
Right.
guys like that. Like Hank Keeney and stuff were a couple big guys, but
Yeah.
Tiger Woods looked like a freak out there on the course, man. He looked
Yeah.
so fit and like all the
Yeah.
time, right? So, and
Correct.
now you see all the guys like Rory, Justin Thomas, like all these guys are in good shape, right? So it's
Yeah.
good to see.
And if you see Bishambo and
Yep.
what's the other one name that he had the little beef with?
Oh, Brooks Koepka.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
work out
Yeah,
and they're
Cameron Champ. Cameron Champ's one of our
working
favorite
out.
golfers here, man. And like he's
Yeah.
got the fastest swing on tour, and he's a big guy, right? Like big guy, tall, strong, muscular. Like so, it's kind of cool to see that kind of get into the game a little bit too, right?
Yes.
But our partner here, Bryce, like I was saying, he's on his honeymoon, but
Yeah.
he's like 6'3", 6'4", like 170 pounds, right? So I was telling him, I was like, oh man, our next guest, like this is gonna be so cool, like kind of rolling it back a few years for myself, and he's like, I'd have nothing to talk about. I don't. He's been like a
I have some.
pro level hockey player. He doesn't lift any weights. He doesn't do any of that. He just So it was he was like, you know what, it's a good time, I guess, if I'm on vacation. So we'll get him back on, but yeah,
Gotcha.
it was just kind of cool to see.
I don't know how to skate. I don't know how to ice skate, man. So I'm pretty sure he could, there's stuff I could ask him that I don't know that he could explain to make it seem a lot simpler than how it comes off to me. So everyone,
For sure. And like he's a multi-sport athlete. Like he plays lacrosse as well. His younger brother, they play. So his youngest of the three, he plays hockey and he plays golf as well. He just won the club championships. Blake just got a hole in one. His youngest brother on a par four the other day in club
what?
championships.
What's
Yeah,
up?
I think
That's
it was.
what's up.
I think it was like 310. So he's explaining it to me. I think it like he flew it 3 wood. Like again,
Uh,
young guy, just a ton of lag, just hits it a long way, hit the top of the flag
okay.
and dropped in, man. But won his club championship. So congrats, Blake, if
That's
you're
what's up,
listening.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Speaking
cool, pretty
of,
cool.
speaking of three wood, out of all the clubs that I hate to use, it's the three wood.
Me too, man. Me
It's
too. I
the
don't know why.
freaking three wood. I, I don't know. I'm not one. I'm not comfortable with it, and
Right.
it just doesn't feel right to me. Anything else, I'm good with. Even I have a 2 iron, a 3 iron that people they don't even make those anymore. They don't use that much, and I'm pretty decent with those things. But
Yeah.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
like a lot of people will go to hybrids if you're like kind of learning the game. They're a bit more forgiving and stuff, right? Like I play at 3 iron. I play from 3 iron up to well, I go like right through the wedges with the 4 wedge
Right.
system, but it's like yeah, I've always played a 3 iron, but I think visually too, the 3 wood is kind of tricky because it's like the driver is a club you hit up on, the 3 wood is a
Mhm.
club you hit down on. You're still wanting to take like, you know, a little bit of a divot, like you're still wanting to
Mm.
catch a little bit of the grass. So it's like a lot can go wrong with that. And I feel like when things aren't going right in my swing, the 3 wood is just like a huge snap hook for me. It's just not a good club for me in my bag.
Yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
relate to that. I can definitely
Yeah.
relate.
It's there for decorational purposes. That's what I love that club. It's
Just
just
to
there.
yeah, throw a cool head cover on it or something like that, right?
That's
But
yeah.
that's all
No,
right.
I don't even have I don't even have head covers on my stuff. Here's a
No?
funny the clubs that I have, they were given to me. I haven't bought fitted club for me yet.
You
I'm
haven't bought
doing
anything, no?
but I'm doing everything so backwards, but it's working and I'm just like I'm just rolling with it.
Hey, if you're just, you know, and you're shooting decent scores and stuff too, right? Like eventually, kind of when you get it to a point, going and getting like a club fitting would be a huge advantage for you, right? Like it's
Yeah,
get to a
that's
point where you're like swinging, you're feeling comfortable, kind of, and then, you know, when you want to take your game to like that next level. But if you're still working on different things in your game, different like swing techniques and stuff like that, you know, you can just kind of like pause it and go maybe start it next year or whatever. I guess you guys can pretty much play all year round, right? But,
yeah.
you know, it's
Um Go ahead.
no, I was just saying it's like one of those things where it's you kind of want to get your swing to a point where you're feeling comfortable enough to go in there. I
Hmm.
know it can be like going in and getting a fitting can be a pretty intimidating thing, right? You're going in there in front of like guys who golf their whole life, like club junkies and stuff like that, and you got to go in and like swing a club in front of them for an hour or whatever, right?
Nah,
And
that pays me one bit, man.
watch all your numbers and stuff like that. But it's if you can, hey, it's an investment, but
Yeah,
it would definitely we've had some of the best club fitters in North America on, and it would definitely help you kind of like, you know, tailor your game for yourself, right? So it's just all about like where your impact position is and stuff.
yeah.
I wanted to ask you something before I forget, Shawn. You mentioned like a little while back, you said you'd played a lot of like unique sports and stuff. I've played a couple. What would you
Okay.
say is like your most unique sport that you've played away from golf, bodybuilding, soccer, cricket, any of the ones that you said? Is there another one there?
Um no, I think the cricket, which you I think you guys in Canada understand, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it is a pretty unique sport. Like, I don't
Cricket is
understand when there's like 5 day games. Aren't there games that run on for like a week and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah, yeah, we yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um that would be for me the unique game because it's not baseball, but there's certain similarities to
Hmm.
baseball. Um,
Well, that's what I was wondering too, because like you would have some swing concepts of like baseball
yeah,
as well as golf, right? Because like it's a like an arching swing, like you're swinging up on the ball, right?
yes,
Yeah. So I
yeah.
guess like I found
So
like when I played baseball at the same time as golf, it kind of
yeah,
messed up my swing a little bit. It was hard, so I just kind of like picked one and stuck to it, right? So
yeah. And you could also implement or see some phases of tennis in there because you
yep.
can also pick up the bat and swing it across if you need to.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that's where they all sort of relate, right? And that was one of the sports I was thinking is table tennis. That's like when I was into bodybuilding, me and a few of the guys at the gym got into table tennis like pretty seriously.
Yeah.
Like we had some pretty competitive games. Like I ordered a paddle from like Hong Kong and stuff. We got like pretty into it. It was pretty serious stuff. So it's kind of cool to just hear like different unique games and stuff or like different sports that people are playing or have experience in. I've, you know, kind of shut everything down and I'm just playing golf now. Like that's about
Okay.
it. Too many
Okay.
injuries, too many shoulder dislocations, too many knee dislocations and stuff. So it's just golf for me. I'm just an old
Right.
man playing golf and I got to get surgery on this elbow I was saying. So once I get that done, hopefully the swing will be good. Luckily it's been on my trail arm. It hasn't been too bad, but
Got you.
can we talk a little bit for any of our listeners? Like, we got a lot of young guys listening to the pod and stuff like that. A lot of guys who might be going
Yeah.
to the gym. Can we talk about a little bit of the bodybuilding life? Like, kind of, you know, we'll come back to golf, but talk about
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how you got into it, kind of what your day looks like maybe just a day in the life of Shawn Lindo.
Okay. I got into bodybuilding, our fitness way back 2001. After 9/11, I was working in Manhattan at a printing company. 9/11 happened. No one could enter the city, things like that. So eventually I got let go and I had to transition into something else. and I was just going to the gym. A friend of mine, and every evening after another job I was doing, we'd go to the gym working out. And one day, the manager was just like, "Hey, you guys are in here every day consistently. Have you ever thought about being a trainer?" And I was like, "No, not at all." And he was like, "You should think about it." And he told me about it, and I did. And I was like, "You know what? Let me give this a try." And from there, I learned more about the body, stuff like that. And I become a manager. And next thing you know, I was going to these meetings with all them, like the district manager
Right.
meeting. And I saw, when I went to the meeting, I saw these guys that was just like they were just so huge. And I'm like, what the hell? How but not like not sloppy, solid,
Yep.
solid. What the hell? And I was asking questions, of course, and he's like, "Yeah, I compete." And I was like, "Compete?" And he started to explain, and he showed me a couple of pictures, and I was like, "Okay, all right, that looks cool. I want to know more about that." And basically, that's how I got into that, and so forth. And what it does for me, one of the things it does, it just helped me to feel better about myself. Like, I could, when you're in shape and when you feel good about yourself, your self-esteem or whatever, it make you take risks, take chances that you probably wouldn't, because you're not confident in yourself. So it build that, like, way, 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 way up. And that in itself can help you in any aspect of life, as long as you have that and use it properly. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
So I got into that, and did my first show, which was pretty cool. I was on stage. It was wild. It was crazy and everything like that. And it just teach me more about discipline. Meaning, when I go to the gym, I go there with a better structure. I
Right.
go there with the mind frame to, you're not trying to lift the whole gym. Don't hurt yourself, because if you hurt yourself, you're setting yourself back. So that's always been my process. I never got hurt in the gym so far. Knock on wood. Always been, whatever injury I got, it was always outside of the gym. A typical day for me is I get up, I go to the gym around 6 o'clock, 6:15 or so. I do my workout. Depending on what day I do that body part. I do cardio, and I always work out on an empty stomach. I don't eat before I work out. No matter what I'm doing, whether I'm doing back, legs, or whatever. Especially legs. I can't eat and do legs. It just, everything come up or go out one way or another.
So you just do like all your workouts are fasted?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Is that just because like is that something that's new like in the bodybuilding world? I know nutrition is like ever evolving and changing daily, like constantly, right? Is that something,
Yeah,
or is that just something that you found over trial and error for yourself?
it's something that before, when I started on a natural course, um, you you have to work out, and you couldn't eat a lot or couldn't do certain things. And I'm one of those, just like, if you tell me, the coach I had, he's like, "Okay, you can't eat, but you still got to work out," I'll do it. I'm just
Yeah.
one of those, like, I need to be done. So over the time, I got my body conditioned to do it. And I also come to find out, I've tried eating before I do before I work out,
Yeah.
and it just didn't sit right in my stomach. So I said, I don't need to do that. I just work out, and then throughout the day, I just get in all the calories that I need to get in, and that process worked best for me.
I guess like the reason why I ask you that is I've been doing like some intermittent fasting,
Yeah.
and obviously like my life's like a lot different. Like I'm on paternal leave right now. I'm home with the little guy I was telling you right now. So like I'm constantly doing cardio throughout the day, chasing him around and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's like I'm eating a little bit later in the day, and like I lost a ton of fat like right off the hop. Like I've lost like 35 pounds in a
Yeah.
little while. I was a pretty big guy at the time still, but um I've been starting to go to the gym at night and stuff like that, and I feel like my workouts are actually like they feel very good, and like I'm not typically going. I'll usually like have dinner or whatever, and then I go to the gym like later on around 9. So I haven't
Yeah.
eaten in like a little while, and I feel like you used to have this mentality. It was like, oh, it's leg day or whatever. I'm gonna have like 3,000 calories and
Right.
pancakes and shit like that, and then I'm just gonna go to
Right.
the gym, right? It was just like, so I guess that's kind of why I'm asking. I'm kind of curious, like if it's just a personal thing, or is that kind of where nutrition is landed? There's so many
No,
different thoughts that happen with that, right? So
yeah. For me, I'm gonna say it's a personal thing for me, and I
yeah,
think everyone have to understand how their body works, what works for them, because there's some people that they can't work out without eating something.
Right.
So for those people, you have to eat because that's what works for you. For me, I can do it out. So don't if I would say don't follow my method if you're not accustomed to that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna follow somebody else's method and eat when I know before the workout end I'm gonna throw up. Something's gonna happen.
Right.
You know? I just basically I look at it as wasted calories.
Of course, like I think back to like my training part, like pushing me a couple times, and me like kind of having to look around where the trash can was, right, and thinking like maybe I should have tried to do it fasted or something with some like I don't know amino acids or something. But
Right.
it's just kind of like one of those thoughts. Like even like when I was really into it, that would be like 10 years ago now, or even a few more years. Like it's always kind
Yeah.
of it's funny because I get like back into the workout mode, and I almost kind of like default into like my bodybuilding like theories and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's kind of funny. Like I think of my old training partner Efford. He was from he's definitely not listening to this podcast, but he was from St. Vincent, and he was maybe I'll try and send him a link. But he was always kind of like saying to me like I got fat wrists and stuff like that. He's like he had won a couple like natural championships and stuff like that. So he is competing. He'd done the Masters CBBF. He did not get his pro card here, but I think he finished second. The So I kind of think about how he kept saying, "Oh, Mac, like you got fat wrists and stuff like that. You're gonna be like huge. You're gonna be like Evan Centopani or something like that, right?" So I was like, I
Right.
don't know, and it was just kind of one of those things. And I did unfortunately get injured, like lifting. So I was like doing a max set of like deadlifting and
Mm.
probably way too much weight, and I herniated a couple discs, right? And it takes you down
Well,
for a while, right? And it's not
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
like
your best.
it's kind of it kind of pushes you back and it makes you like rethink the sport and stuff. And now when I
Yeah.
go, like obviously I'm not pushing that kind of weight and stuff, but I was saying I
Yeah.
got like a couple injuries and it's just not I don't know, man. It's not fun. It's not fun. You don't want to deal with those. It takes you away from other
Yeah.
things like, you know, even just hanging out with friends. I was laying on a mattress for like 8 days when that happened. It was
Seriously. Who the
no
hell
fun,
who
man.
needs that, man?
Yeah,
No.
exactly,
No.
right, exactly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of curious to just like I said, it's kind of traveling back in time for me, and I kind of love the conversation. So it's almost like thinking about all those meals and stuff. You don't have a problem getting the calories and all the macros in like
No,
later on in the day.
no, not at all. So, like I said, I do that. So for me, it my metabolism ignite, and I can once I start my get that first meal in, I could get all six, sometimes even seven meal. I already have so far for today. I already got 5 meals in. And what time is it right now? It's now
Just after
9.
9, yeah.
So I could still get 2 more meals in before I go to bed.
Yeah, go
And
ahead, man. If you got to eat right now, I
you know,
understand.
no, no,
I,
no, no.
I was gonna ask you that, like driving around, like if we transition back into the golf world. So, do you
Yeah,
have you played like when you've done any contest prep at all?
no,
No.
no. I
So,
have no. I haven't played since I had done any contest prep. Um, if I did do so, I think it would actually be better because I'd be lighter. You know what I mean? And I think I'd be even more flexible. I think, but eventually that's going to happen because I'm planning on getting in ready for the Masters Olympian next year because they're
nice.
gonna have that division. Um, Me and the lady are kind of working on some things, So right now, like I said, I've been off of everything. I'm
Yeah.
just now getting, and after that, then That's what I'm aiming for. So at some point, I'm gonna be in like tip top, super shape, and I'm gonna be still playing golf.
So that would be like 13 months. It's September, right?
No, not this year, next year.
Yeah, but it is
Was
in
that
September still, yeah?
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay. All right.
correct,
Like
correct.
the last I remember winning was like it's like the Phil Heath era. I guess they've gone on to like Big Ramy, I guess, right? Like I kind of tune in a little bit, but I can't say who's
Yeah,
won the last couple of years. I'd have to like look at it and see. But
you're right. It's Big Ramy. Before Big Ramy was Brandon Curry.
right. I like Brandon Curry, man. He's
Like him
sweet.
too.
Like he's
Yeah.
so good. He's so good. He was one of the guys that was kind of like coming up young. Like when I was really getting into it, I actually did a little bit of training with Seth Feroci. Do you know that name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, but just before he won the NPCs, he was helping me out with some contest prep, and I got about 2.5 weeks out, so I started dieting at like 230 or something like that.
Yeah.
I was down to like 178, man. I was just like shredded. And
Okay.
I got a new job, and I remember being in my boss's office at the time, and like it's like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and I was like so lightheaded, and she's like going over a
Uh,
couple things. I remember saying like, "Oh, I got to run to the bathroom," and I like ran into my office and like
yeah.
was just shoveling as much food as I could in. And like I
Right.
remember
Right.
talking to my buddy Effort about it, and he's like, "You know what, Mac, like it'll always be there. If you want to come back to it, it'll always be
Yeah.
there." And I ended up having to work when the competition was, so I couldn't compete. But it was pretty cool. Like when you go back to discipline, like to have that type of discipline. And like I remember like telling people like my like little, I don't know, nugget, or like my like little like, I guess cheat, not even a cheat really at the time, was like
Mhm.
rice cakes with diabetic jam and stuff like that,
Right.
man. It's just a pretty cruel time in my life, but like to be able to like look back and see some of those photos was pretty cool. And like
Yeah.
it was cool to have guys like, Seth was just kind of coming up at the time, and he was like
Mhm.
really, really cool, kind of helped me out. We would talk quite a bit. And like we had a couple guys up here, Marlon John. I don't know if you recognize that name. He finished second in the Canadians a bunch of times, and I don't know if he actually got his pro card. Leon Eastman, I don't know if you know Leon. He's kind of been everywhere, man. But I would get to train with some of those guys, which was pretty fun. And yeah, I just never got to the competition, but that's okay. That's all right. Maybe in my
Well,
next life or something.
the one of the important things that you said is that it will be there. It will, in a way, they say never, but it will always be there.
Yep.
So not, they have so many different age category that you could compete in. So I word of advice: if there's other things beside competing bodybuilding that you want to do or you're thinking about doing, give it a try.
Yep.
Don't push those things off for bodybuilding. I'm not telling you what to do; it's just a suggestion. Those of you guys who are listening to this, try other things.
Yeah.
Try other things. The sport will be there. It's not like if you don't compete in a year or two or whatever, it's gonna go away. It's gonna be there, and you opportunities that you um can't get again, that's gone. Take advantage of that. Don't let that pass you by. That's the word of advice that I would give in
Well,
all of this.
yeah, and that was kind of the idea, right? Like I had just gotten my first like career job at the time.
Yeah.
I was like feeling like, obviously I was just like, I don't know if I can like keep this up. I hadn't eaten in like 8 hours, which was the longest amount of time I had gone in
Mm,
months, right? So, and I was feeling kind of like down, I guess, at the time, thinking like I really don't want to give up on this and stuff. And it was always there, right? And I ended up getting injured
yeah.
and stuff after, and that's fine. But like, it's almost like, sure, I didn't like get up there, I didn't stand on stage, but I was like ready at that time. I was like way ahead of schedule. I like was, could have just kind of dehydrated a little bit and would have been fine at that point, right? Which was pretty cool to be able to like see my body kind of go from X to Y to Z, and like have that type of you know just have that type of like willpower and determination to kind of do that, right? I think
Right.
that one of the things when I was talking to you, Shawn, right off the hop, I was like, maybe two of the most mentally draining things that I've done in my life is a contest prep and play 18 holes that I played this morning, where I was like in an absolute dumpster fire, man, and I could not hit the ball, or I hit it well off the tee, but I just couldn't do anything else, man. And it's just like, I either way, I look like a psychopath out there. I'm like always laughing, having a fun time on the golf course. I'm shooting like whatever. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea what I'm shooting, but I just like, I just didn't have it today. And it's kind of just one of those things, man. Golf is it can be like a mentally like draining sport where you really have to focus a lot. And it's the same
Yeah.
with bodybuilding, right? You can kind of draw comparisons
Yeah.
with it too.
He think he applying that pressure, but dog, I ain't blinking, ain't flinching. I'm holding my pose and I'm twirling my sticks. Go ahead and send me that picture. I'm holding my finish. Knock it within a couple of inches. I hit the green in regulation. Get pissed cause I don't get to show all my pitches. Pull up on 18, I'm flexing. Oh yeah, I'm fin shooter low. I hit the twirl and then hit the fairway and then hit my wall. When it come to that twirl, dog, it ain't many that touch me. The cargo, she cute, that's my buddy. Hit the green, hit the twirl, and hit my Dougie. They seen the squad twirl.
I've been sore as hell. I'll go, but I've been like sore as hell. I'm hitting myself with the massager, like on the first tee
Nah.
block. I got like 80-year-old people walking up looking at me and stuff, but it
Let
was
them
good,
look.
man.
That's two of them things, man.
Yeah, it's been good to get back. Like I was saying, I've been like doing some fasting. I've lost a ton of weight, man. I just feel like
Yeah.
like the main thing was like we had a little guy. He's only 10 months old, right? And I wanted to like make sure I was in
Okay.
good shape. Like you got to be a good like I
Yeah,
was
you gotta
getting a
be. Gotta
little too
be
comfortable, you know, and you got to be a good example, right? It's
correct. Correct.
so that was kind of it, man. And I've been feeling good, and like it's like you're saying, like the muscles come back, man. Like
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
memory's there, right?
Another thing I wanted to say to you regarding what you were saying, that you were at your best at that time and you started a new job. Muscle memory is a real thing.
Yeah.
And if you decide after you get your surgery and everything is healed, and you decide you want to get back, even if you're not to stepping stage, but get back to that level, you can. You know what it took, you know the feeling, and now you have the knowledge to do it a little bit different, so it doesn't affect you like it did at that point in a negative way.
Yeah, and
You know,
it's one of those things too, like as you lose like a few pounds and stuff. Because I remember, like I was saying, the Dorian Yates era was kind of like get as fat as humanly possible.
right?
We can deal with that later. Like it's just
Yeah,
get as big as you can, and we'll diet down. Like I was saying, it was I don't know, like 60 pounds, man. Like I dieted down, so it's probably too much. You shouldn't be carrying that
yeah,
much extra weight,
no,
right? You really don't need to. And like when I got down to in the 170s, I was like as lean, like I was as lean as humanly possible. Well, you know,
yeah.
you've been there, right? So
Hmm.
before we move back into golf, can we talk about like how you got your pro card? Like
Yeah,
anybody who, we might have a lot of golfers listening right now who might be fascinated with the idea of like a bodybuilder, and like we talk about golfers and how they become champions. You know, my cousin Blake just won his club championship. So
yeah.
how do you become a champion bodybuilder?
Um, how did I became our turn pro? So I've been competing since 2007, 2007, 2008.
So you're training like about 6 years before you started like
Yeah,
competing, yeah?
yeah,
Okay.
just training and stuff like that.
Yep.
I was on a natural circuit before, and then I switched from there to NPC. And the the goal starting out was just I just wanted to just look good. It was never necessarily to step on stage. But like you said, whether you drop 2 pounds or you gain 2 pounds of muscle, you see that, you want more, right? You
It's
want more.
infectious. It is
It's
definitely infectious,
actually,
man.
and that's basically what happened. And the more my body started to change. I never really had a lot of body fat to begin with, so it didn't take long for me to, put muscle on and stuff like that.
Right.
So the more that start to change, and I'm around people like that, the next question is, okay, you're changing your body. What are you going to do with it, right? So the next opening is like display it, show it off. So I did my first show, and it was like, oh, this was cool, man. People are cheering for you, clapping you on, encouraging you and whatnot. And it's like, okay, what's next? Another show, and another show is like, oh, I did so well at this one. I got to be able to do better at the next one if I make these changes. And that's basically how it happened. And from that point on, it was just like, okay, let's see where I can take this. And when you're in that world, as you know, the question is, if I become pro, I can make money at this,
Right.
right? So there's another incentive to get better and do more of this. So the whole goal for me was just to get the core, the solidify was just to change my body. And then from there, the next step is, okay, now you change it. How much do you want to change it? And where do you want to go with this? So I just did show once you qualify to you win a not regular show to what do you call it, to go to a national show, a national level.
Okay.
I did that 2-3 times, and from there the next step is just to get my pro card. And I tried 3 times. One time I came in 4 times actually. One time I came in second, and I was like, damn, I was that close. And it
Yeah.
was so devastating because it was a guy that was in the super heavyweight class, and his coach sucked him down to fit into my class. So if he didn't do that, I off the bat I would have turned pro. So that was just like, damn, I was so close. So the next phase is like, I got to do this show again. I came so close, you know.
Yep.
I did that show again, and I came in fifth, and I was like, damn. What I was second, so I'm like, what I need to change something, because at that point it's like you're so close. Am I going to stop now? Or should I just continue, right?
Right.
And it's like phases. You go to kindergarten, then from there you go to what is it?
Elementary school or like
Elementary school,
yeah.
and then so forth. And then you look forward to graduation, right?
Right.
For the next phase. It was the same thing. I'm so close. So I did 2 more shows and didn't do well in the second to last show. And the other show, it was a master show. And at that time, I was over 35, and they had the open and over 35 category. And I just said, look, I'm just going to throw my hat in all of them. And that's what I did. And I turned pro in the over 35 category in 2017.
Nice. So you had you competed like for the next, you said you had been taking about a year off now. I guess like COVID probably derailed things just like
No,
everything else, or did you compete for a few years afterwards?
no. Since turning pro, I haven't done any shows since turning pro.
No? Okay.
No, I haven't
All
done
right.
in that 2017. Why I didn't do any show after that? One of the main reasons why I didn't, because 2 years before that, I was just going, and I just wanted to take the time off and just give my body a break. And then I didn't have any sponsor or anything like that, so I had to make money.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not an excuse. My thing was I moved from New York to Florida by myself. So I had to start everything over by myself.
Right.
So I just say, I just want to take this time and make money. I didn't want to have to depend or ask anybody for anything. I'm just going to just grind. I still would work out. I was prepping or thinking about getting ready for a show. But then, in the personal training business, sometimes clients fall off, things fall off, and then you have to like slow down and, change direction and so forth. And I had to do that. And I just look at it. At one point, I was like, you know what? Competing is like we were saying, competing is always going to be there. Yep. Let me make sure that all my eggs or my ducks in a row. Once that is set, then I could focus on that again. And that's basically what I've been doing.
Well, like golf, bodybuilding's not cheap, man. I remember like
no, it's
some
not.
days like you're eating like multiple 12-ounce like dishes and stuff like that, 12-ounce grams of protein, stuff like that. It's just like it's expensive, man. It's a very expensive, especially when you get up into like those 200-pound ranges and 250 pounds plus. It's a lot to maintain that muscle, right? And I remember like like I say, my old training partner Effort, he was a welterweight, I believe. I think he was 180, 188.
Oh yeah, he's that's what it is.
Yeah, so and then one of the guys we used to train with, he was a super, and he was like well over 300 pounds in the off season. You get like super fat.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Like his name's Marlon John. He was like 6'6", and like he'd get up to like 320, and he was just like a mass monster, right? Really, really big guy, and like he would compete around 270, and like the amount of food that even like I was eating was just a lot, man. Even like when you get down to those last final days and it's just kind of like protein, sweet potato, whatever it is, and it's like it's a lot of money, man.
It adds up.
Just like going to play a round of golf, you're going to play 50, 60, 70, $100, whatever it is. It's not cheap. It's not a cheap sport to play, but it obviously just takes a lot of determination, right? So we're definitely going to follow it along. But we go back into the golf, like you said that I guess you were predominantly brought in by like clients and stuff like that, wanting to kind of play with you and stuff like that,
used
right?
to it in that aspect, yeah.
So it was just like, was there one person that asked you that you were like, okay, I can trust myself to kind of go out? You were saying like you didn't want to be embarrassed or anything like that, that you can go out and like that you can just like kind of trust yourself to make a little bit of a fool out of yourself? Because like we do the same thing, man. Hey, like when I was younger, going to the gym the first time was like I felt like I was going and making a fool out of myself, right? It was kind of one of those things. And I'd even been away from it a little while, and I'd been to the gym forever, and like I went back like recently after being away for a while. Same type of thing, right? You're like, what's it gonna be like? And you go back and it's fine, man. Same thing with you golfing. It's just like you're fine now. You love it. Like you go to the range every other day. But somebody kind of got you there. Was there one person that kind of got you out to play?
And he was a little bit he's much older, and he was like, "Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna judge. Just have fun. Just come out."
Yeah, man.
And I did that. And actually, it was actually no. The first time I actually went, I went there to watch him play, and I was telling him. I was looking at what he was doing. I was telling him, this is the type of exercise that we need you to do in the gym to help you to be better at this. That was my first time doing that.
Okay.
And then another time he was like, next time I want you to come, and why don't you come and play with me? And I was like, all right, sure, whatever. And that was my attitude towards it. Like, sure,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't go there with like I'm going to go there to be good at. I was like, I'll just swing the club and watch your form and whatnot. And he was the one that was looking at what I was doing, and he was like, for a person who never done this before, is like you're doing pretty okay. To me, I'm like, the balls are going over there and over there, and you know. And he's like, you're never taking a lesson. This is not something you do on a regular basis. And just imagine if you were to just hone in those things. And I was like, okay. And then I think a month after that, of another set of group, sorry, another group of people that are my client invite me. It was like um, three of them, and they needed one. And I was like, sure, whatever, I'll come along. And they were much younger. No, like they were driving the ball like far. Everything. One of them been playing since he was like 5 or something like that.
Right.
So I did that, and they opened up my eyes to like whole bunch more of things. And at that point, like all my curiosity was like, all right, I could do this. I could do this, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where no matter who you play with, like you'll just play with like I got to caddy with a friend of mine. His name's Zahid Ali Nathu. So if you're following, he played PJ Tour Latino America, and he's played down in the States quite a bit, and he's playing Canadian Tour now. So Ziggy Nathu, and I got to carry the bag from last Monday at a qualifier, and like you play
Nice.
with a lot of guys and like you're like, oh, these guys are good, and like you start playing thinking you're good, and then I get to go carry the bag for Ziggy, and I'm like, I'm not good, man. This guy's good. Like it's just
Yeah,
like this guy is
yeah.
so good, and then you'll go see another like you'll go to that next tier like PJ Tour players, and you're like, man, these guys are good. It's just kind of like
Hmm.
it's really cool to like meet and like just like anything like I'm sure you kind of coming up the ranks in the bodybuilding, you're like, okay, like you meet this guy and you're like, okay, he's huge. Like the first guys you met, you're like, these guys are big, like big
Yeah.
muscles, like
Yeah.
I
Oh
want to
yeah,
be
yeah,
like that. And then like
yeah.
one day I'm sure you're walking around the Arnold Expo and you see like Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, those kind of guys, and you're like,
Mhm.
those are the guys, man. It's just like
Yeah.
same type of thing, right? So as you get to like meet and go out with different people, and I love how golf's so social too, right? It's just like we were kind of
Absolutely, man.
talking about like it's just like I remember talking to I think like a guy that was like a club fitter up here, and he was saying like it's just such a social thing. You get to go out into like a well-maintained park for 3 or 4
Yeah.
hours and just kind of
Yeah.
relax, hit the
Yeah.
ball, and like have some fun, kind of like make some new friends. A lot of times you're kind of like
Mhm.
meeting players and stuff. Like
Right.
I'm lucky
Right.
at my course I've gone to, I've met like quite a few people, and like
Yeah.
it's fun. They're like, "Oh, you have a golf pod?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like, you know, some days I'm
Yeah.
really good. I might shoot a 74 today or I might shoot a 87. I don't know. Like
Nice.
it's just kind of how golf is for me, right? So it's you
But
know,
you're shooting a pretty good score, man.
yeah, it's just like I'm an extremely volatile golfer. Some days I will some days I'll shoot like the other day I was saying on the pod I shot like a 33-46 or something. So I was like I think 2 under on the front and I don't know, 12 over on the back or
Oh,
something, man.
wow.
It's
Okay.
just a
Okay.
very, very like polar opposite round. But I kind of get
Got.
out there now, um, like I don't, I'm not chasing anything in golf.
Right.
I'm chasing like the best shot. Like I made a hole
Right.
in one a couple months ago now, and like that's what I'm chasing, man, is like I want to have those like memories from each round. I want to go out
Right.
there and like hit really good shots. I'm not
Yeah.
going like if I go out there and shoot a 74, it's not going to
Yeah.
change my day, but if I go out and hit this like massive flop shot and it drops in the cup, I'm going to remember that and tell a story. We're going to have a great
Absolutely.
time, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what it is, meet some new people
Yeah.
and like I know we talked about this a little bit, man. I was reading the National, which is it's called the National Golf Club of Canada up here. I was reading an article the other day, it was posted, and it kind of came out, and they were like a top 5 ranked course in the country. They removed them from the ranking system that happens here. It's Golf Digest, Score Golf up here, and it was
Okay.
based on like not having female membership. So we're in
Huh?
2022, man. You don't have
What?
female membership. Yeah, you don't have female
Wow.
members. So they removed them, and I was like, damn, that's good, man. That's a good thing. Like
Yeah.
I was saying, 2 of the people I golf with the most, my wife, my sister, and my
You
buddy Ted,
can't
who I golf with quite a bit,
play with.
right?
What the hell?
Yeah, man. It's just like you can be a female in golf there, but you can't be a member.
Why? What's the difference? If I could golf there, why
Yeah.
can't I be a man there? Like what's going to happen? I'm going to ruin the place.
I know. It's just like So we were kind of talking about that a little bit, and I wanted to ask you because, like, I play with my buddy Ted. He listens to the pod sometimes, and he's like a big, fit black dude, just like yourself.
Yeah.
This is like a predominantly white sport. Do you have any
Right.
challenges that you run into, Shawn? Like anything that you run into when you're playing the game, like, or that you've kind of faced, like trying to get into this sport that, for many reasons, you don't kind of look like you fit in out there, right?
Okay. It's not that I don't look like I don't fit. I don't fit in. I don't fit in. Um, I don't. I don't really get a lot of pushback or drawback or anything like that.
Yeah.
I do get the looks that people like, are you at the right place? You know? And when I pick up on that, I make a joke about it or something. I'd be like, I'm just wearing this, but my football uniform is in the car, you know, and
Right.
whatever it is that you're thinking, my whole goal is to break the ice,
For
right?
sure, man.
So I pretty much almost say whatever, do whatever to break the ice for that wall to come down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't really get a lot of pushback like that. It's more the look, and also I go on I play on a lot of regular public course, and I also go to some really nice private course with my clients. And what I come to find out when you go to those private courses, it's kind of like everyone just stay to themselves.
Right.
So if they see me with a group, they just nobody, you know what I'm saying? Nobody say nothing or anything like that. I
Yeah, man.
never get, huh?
Sorry, I was gonna say, like, I'm a big fan of, like, I've been playing the game a long time, but I'm a big fan of, like, the municipal courses. My course is semi-private course, but it's predominantly
Yeah,
public, and, like,
yeah,
that's how we get to meet people, right? Like, I've
yeah,
met quite a few, like Corey, Sean, Stefan. I've met all these guys within, like, the last few months, and, like, guys I just get to go out and play golf with. I look them up on the tee
yeah,
sheet, drop my name in there, and then that's how you kind of make friends and, meet people. And that was,
yeah,
like, one of the things I remember talking to Ted, and I was like, Ted, like, you've been playing the game a long time. Like, he was from, I think he's from Antigua. I was saying, like, what do you think, right? And he said, you get different looks or whatever it is, and
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
something that I notice. I'm just walking around shooting the shit with a buddy of mine,
yeah,
like playing a game, right? So I'm lucky. Like, I'm out there with my sister. She's a new golfer. She's hacking it around, whatever it is.
yeah,
But I'm sure that it's something that is like we're still working on in today's
yeah.
society. You know what I mean?
What when I look at it, I know, especially thinking about, I think the look that I get is more like, is he really gonna play golf?
Yeah, this guy's
You know
huge,
what I mean?
man.
Like, how is he? It's the look like, how is he gonna swing the club? Like, how is he gonna hold? That's the type. That's what I'm in my head when I look. Because sometimes people they will come up to me like, how long you been playing? Things like that. No one ever come up to me and say, oh, you don't belong here. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Nothing like that. And I think it's more of maybe they're afraid to come up to me and say something like that. Even though I'm not, I'm a pretty chill person, whatever. But I think it's more like I want to see him swing first, things
Yeah.
like that.
Well,
And
that's what got me, man. Like, I think, like I was saying, it was a reel. I was flipping through reels and I like saw you and I was like, no way. I was like, this is a
yeah,
blend. This is a blend of me 10, 15, 12 years ago, whatever it is, to where I am now. And this is my two lives coming together. And this guy's doing it on like, you're like a much bigger scale, like muscular wise than I was even
yeah,
back then. But it's just like, man, like it can happen. It can happen. And I was thinking, I was like,
yeah,
right away the wheels got spinning, and same type of thing like you're saying. Like, I just reached out to you, you just sent me a message back, and we got just chatting, and it's just like we can talk about golf all day, man, talk about
all day,
bodybuilding.
and
It's just like
bodybuilding all day.
it's so good. And that's why it's just like Bryce and I have always said on this pod we want to get, there's so many pods who have like PJ Tour players,
Just
stuff like that. It's like they're all
yeah,
the same. And like we've got like, smaller brands, Canadian Tour players who could use some
mhm,
exposure, like club fitters who could use some exposure, just guys who do like, just anything, and like different personalities in golf. And that was kind of the idea, is like always to just give a platform to other people. So when I was talking to you, I was like, okay, like we got to get you
yeah.
on, we got to get you talking, we got to like see what this is like. Cause I
That's-
had that same thought. I was like, when I saw you swing, I was like, not bad, man. Like that was my first
Thank
thought.
you.
I was just like, damn, like that's a pretty nice swing. And I was just like, I think you're at Top Golf, and I had just gone to Top Golf, or I was just going to Top
Okay.
Golf in Texas. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. But I just kind of was like, I think this guy's doing it. Like something that I thought was like, you know, one of those impossible things to blend those two sports
No,
together. Just like,
it is, but it
yeah,
isn't. And I'm like I said, I'm going to be the one to, uh, as you say, destroy the norm,
yeah,
right? And damn, I was going to say something. Give me a second. I was going to say that the whole thing. I actually want to start a group or a clique of muscular guys that play golf, because there's a couple guys at my gym that play who have muscle, not almost as me, are a little bit less, but they have muscle in them. And we sit down and we talk and we're like, yo, we gotta play, we gotta like create a niche
yeah.
for people like us, because there isn't anything there for people like us. And they were like, yo, you're absolutely right, we need to do that, man, we need to do that.
Well, even like back in the day, I used to be on the muscular development forums all the time, man, soaking up like as much knowledge as I can from, you know, people like
Yeah,
yourself or guys who are like, you know, that are IFBB pros or that had done it, that had gone and got their pro card. So I was just sitting there like absorbing all this knowledge,
yeah,
trying to learn more about the sport and stuff like that. And that's something that you guys could be doing, right? Like I saw you post like I think you had made a birdie and you posted on your story just
yeah,
today. Yeah, yeah. So I was like, damn, like, you know, and there were a couple big dudes there with you, right? And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
so I think you're onto something. Like, there's got to be a lot of other, like, I've talked to like my neighbor, really big guy, like really big bodybuilder and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, I'm going to play golf again. And like, there's just maybe not really a platform or an access point for, you know,
there is,
guys who might not want to try a new thing. Cause
yeah,
like you might go out there and like you got these like huge wing lats and like thinking like, I don't know how to get around. And maybe you can just give a bit of advice, right? It's just, there's got to be an avenue out there for it. And this,
yeah.
hopefully, this podcast will like kind of shed some light on it because I know I've been taking up a ton of your time here. We're on for about
No,
an hour,
all
but
good. A couple of things that I wanted to touch on. This definitely will help. One of the thing is, my goal is playing is one. I want to, when I go play with my clients, they see I could hang with them,
yep.
you know. And eventually, I want to kick their ass and just be like, "See, you guys didn't think I could do this, and you know what I mean. I do it." That's one. Number two is I want. There's other guys in the gym who are big, and they're like, "It's like you have fun when you go out there." I'm like, man, I have a blast. And
Yeah.
like I could, would drink on the course sometimes to just loosen up and whatnot. He was like, you do that? And he's
Yeah.
like, maybe this is something I should look into. So I know there's a buzz for people that are big like me. So I want to continue to create that buzz. The other aspect of it is there are a lot of minority people who are curious about the sport and don't really have someone, meaning I'm not a pro. I'm a regular guy. That's how I look at it. I'm a regular guy who work out, but I still have interest in learning about the sport, and I'm actually doing it. And I want him to look at me or see me and be like, if he's doing it, I could do it. And I want to, have that window or that door open, that if they have questions or anything like that, feel free to come and ask. I'll tell you as much as I know and give you the opportunity. Be curious. Try everything. Don't look at it and be like, oh, I don't see a lot of people like me doing it, so I'm not going to look into it. Don't close yourself off, or don't put up a door where the one don't need to be. Be open, explore things, and you never know what could come out of it.
For sure, man. I think you're onto something, John. Like you could be an ambassador for this sport for so many different reasons, right? Like it's so many different avenues of like people that want to get involved and check out the game, right? So
Yeah,
I like that, man. I'm thinking like a little while ago we had just a quick little story. PGA Tour Canada Player of the Year last year. So the best
yeah,
player on the PGA Tour Canada. So it's kind of like, you know, the farm team, so to speak, going into the, you know, if we got new people listening to the golf pod, stuff like that, going into like
yeah,
the NHL, NFL, kind of like that. That's his next step, right? He's played a PGA Tour or PGA Tour event now in the Canadian Open, and he is his name's Callum Davidson. He's a cross-handed golfer,
wow,
so he's a right-handed golfer with a left-hand grip, which
huh?
is very bizarre. It's like very
Yeah,
rare, and he
yeah,
gets it around like man, and he's like an extremely good plus handicap golfer, like a very, very good golfer.
right.
And it was kind of one of those things, like we were saying, Bryce and I were saying to him, like, I bet you can walk up to a range and just like, you know, find a match or
Kill it.
go to a clubhouse, find a match and like find a
Yeah,
money game and just start making a bunch of money off people. I feel like you could do the same, man. You could wander up to a course, hone your skills a little bit and just be like, hey,
that
like, let's play a match. And then, yeah,
that
man, I think that would be
that's
great. But
the plan.
I love it though, man. I think that there's definitely an avenue for people who are like looking to, you know, like you said, with Bryson, Brooks, Rory, like a couple of these
Yeah,
guys, Cameron Champ, like these guys are big muscular guys, man. They're athletes now. And
yeah,
like golf has always been seen as like, or not always, but it's now just finally becoming a sport where we're seeing a lot of athletes playing the game.
yeah.
They're not just golfers.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of people like yourself who have been around like, you know, weights their whole life that want to try a new sport. And if
Yeah,
they can find an avenue to go speak with somebody like you, like we have, man, that's great.
yeah,
It's just a
man.
way to open some
Yeah.
doors, right?
Um, the other two reason that I didn't add them in right now is I want people to understand the importance of flexibility and stretching, how that could help them on the course, in their regular life, and stuff like that. And also training your body, working out. It is very important. It will keep you doing this a lot longer than if you don't work out. So those
Right.
are some of the avenue that I'm like, there's a big opening for that because when you talk to some of the older guys who I have as client and stuff, you know, they're like, oh, I don't want to get big and whatnot. I'm like, you're not gonna get big, but you need your muscles to be strong.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be fine. If you stay on top of your stretching and you know deep tissue massage and stuff like that, you're gonna be fine. But you do need muscle because if not, your body's gonna break down a lot faster if you don't have those things.
Yeah.
So those are the avenues that I want to tackle and really like get the word and the message out there about that.
Do you do any yoga or anything, Sean?
I don't want to call it yoga. I do stretch. I stretch
Yeah.
on my own
Yeah.
home and stuff like that.
That's just
I've
been
done,
something like I've thought about with the golf game. It's like been,
it helps.
you
It
know,
helps a lot.
it's definitely something that I need to introduce more because I definitely stiffen up quite a bit. I know I was in the car with my buddy Chef today. Yeah, I
You
was.
see?
That's what I was saying that I was hitting that on the first tee this morning,
Yeah,
and I had
yeah,
like you know a couple people walking by me, kind of looking at me funny, but like I've been you know back to the gym and I got the lactic acid buildup. But I was thinking about my buddy Chef beside me in the cart today, and like he's a chef, like his name's Mike, but
yeah.
nickname Chef, and we just call him Chef. And like he's on his feet all day. Owns like a fine dining restaurant in the city here, and like it's just one of those things. He's got to
Bro.
stretch more, man. Like he's kind of going from the golf course to standing up for, you know, 16, 17, 18 hours a day. And then he's just beat, right? And it's just one of
Yeah,
those things. If you introduce, like, even if you don't have time to lift a bunch of weights all the time throughout the week and you just work in some stretching, you'll be able to, like, maintain
yeah.
that and play the game
Man,
and go to the gym if
if
lift
I
the
had
weights a couple
record, I'm
times,
sorry.
right?
If I record like some of the stuff that take place, you know how many people I help on the golf course that's not even with us? They're like, oh, my back is hurting. And I'm like, did you stretch? Did you know? And they're like, no. I'm like, here, try this.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, you have this with you? I'm like, yeah. Why would I not have this with me? It helps. And it was like, oh my god, my back is feeling so much better. Or my hamstrings is loosen up. And I'm like, yeah, these are things that you need to do to help your body to perform the way how you need it to. I'm gonna be a little bit more aware of it, and when you know, help people, I just take little videos of it. I'm like, this is what you know, this is who I use my massage gun today, and I help them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
anytime you do, man, tag us. Like any golf stuff, tag us and we'll reshare it. Happy to do so. And it's one of those things
thank
like you got the Theragun there, and it was kind of one of those things. Like I was in the change room with Ziggy last Monday, and like first thing that comes out is a Theragun. He's got a foam roller with him, stretches for
yeah,
the first like 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we get out to the range, right? And like
right,
he's a pro, and there's a reason why he's a pro, and there's a reason why he can play 6 days a week, and like they're constantly playing qualifiers. They're playing, you know, Thursday
absolutely,
through Sunday, Monday qualifiers. If they don't make it, they're playing Wednesday through Thursday, and it's just that's how they make their living. And
yeah,
you know, they're taking care of their body just like you would for anything else. And I think it is something that gets lost with golf a little bit. It can be like a
yeah,
recreational thing. So it's
yeah,
something that definitely it's nice. We've had a couple athletic therapists on and stuff in the past, and they've kind of talked about how important it is. And it's something that I neglect a little bit more than I probably should, but I'm motivated now. I'm gonna stick with it.
yeah.
I'm gonna get it stretching a little bit more.
No, definitely take advantage of it, man. The other thing that that I've been doing also, I've been doing exercise that help that help me out on the golf course. So I, of course, I do my regular traditional lifting and stuff like that. But with the motion, how you swing, and you know things like that, there's exercise that will help that. So I've been implement. I haven't really post any of those things, which I plan to. I just been like storing it up. But all of that stuff helps a lot.
Well, I'd love it if you could share. Like you know, we got a pretty loyal following of people who are going to listen to the pod here and check it out. So, love it if you could
Cool.
share it with us and share it with any of our listeners. We got like I'm thinking a couple of my buddies are like bigger guys, even like maybe not really big muscular guys, but just like guest a couple weeks ago. He's like 6'4", I think he said, like
Yeah,
260, like big guy, like really, really big burly guy, stuff like that. Just different things that'll help like bigger body
def-
people, right?
def-
And kind of like
got it.
introduce new aspects into the game and stuff, right? But
Got
I
you.
appreciate it, Shawn. We've taken so much of your time. I really appreciate
No worries.
you stepping away
Thank you.
from I'm sure you got some meals to get in, man, but
I do.
let's get you back on in the future. Let's maybe like
No,
when you're
man,
doing your prep or at the end of the season or something like that. I would love to get you back on and kind of pick your brain a little bit more, man. This was a lot of fun.
please. My pleasure, man. Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it. All you guys out there, remember, take your health, your fitness serious just as much as you take golf. They go hand in hand. Don't leave anything for chance.
I appreciate that, man. Before we let you go, Shawn, can we share your socials? Anybody wants to come over and check you out?
Yeah. My social is IFBB Pro Shawn Lindo, and the other one is Body by Lindo, and my podcast is Embrace the Real uh, podcast, and I also have a nonprofit. It's called Embrace the Real Nonprofit. Also, and that one, that's where I volunteer my time to help underprivileged kids, teach them about working out, fitness, and I'm a coach for the Miracle League baseball here in South Florida, Delray Beach. Miracle League is kids who are in like wheelchair and need um, help. So we go and help them with baseball on a weekly basis. So they're normal in their own way. So we just help them feel a little bit normal and just put a smile on their face and stuff like that, man.
That's great, man. I used to coach the Special Olympics baseball team here in Durham region where I'm from, so just east of Toronto. It was great,
Yeah.
man. One of the most rewarding experiences of my
Oh,
life, and
bro.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome
When
stuff. So
I hit the lotto, that's besides working out and golf, that's one of the things that I'm going to volunteer my time to, like all the time, bro, all the
yeah,
time.
it's
And
it's rewarding,
I'm
man.
all,
It definitely is.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I also have a brand that I'm working on that I'm coming out with golf related. So I keep that in wrap, but I just want to put that out there a little bit. So look forward to that.
I like that. I
Work,
like it.
working on something. Working on something. I'm definitely going to send you some stuff when it's done. So look forward to that.
Man, we're all about golf brands. We got so many cool ones up here. Like we're
Right.
so lucky. Like we've got like 4 of the best head cover manufacturers. We got just so many cool like brands here and stuff. So anything we can do to help, man, that's kind of the idea of the podcast. That's how we've got it. Any of your links, like any of your, I'll grab any links from you if you can send them over to me, Shawn,
Yeah.
for the podcast, stuff like that. I'm gonna link them below. So if you're driving in the car or if you're stopped, go down below, check it out. Give Shawn a follow on Instagram. Hopefully you can compete next year and we can kind of follow your journey. I wanted to mention too, Shawn, I know your sister's going through something. I saw you posted the
Yeah.
other day. So our prayers to her, Bryce and I, sending our prayers to your sister, man. Hopefully, you know, things go well with her and she bounces back, man.
Thank you so much, man. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. We got to have you back, man. This is so much fun, Shawn.
All right.
We got to have you back, man.
Listen, I want to say just 2 more things. One, I still haven't taken a lesson yet, by the way.
All right. Okay.
And I have my buddy Nate. He been playing since he was a kid, man. I would love to have him on the show too. He work out. That's my training partner now in the gym. So he's gonna have a different aspect and view about this than me because he's been doing this since he was like I think 5 or something like that. So let me know when, and I would gladly have him on and discuss.
Yeah, link us up. Let's do it, man. Let's have a chat. And Shawn, if you're up for it, I got a lot of buddies that do a lot of virtual lessons, man. If I can link you up with somebody,
Absolutely,
yeah,
man.
we would.
Hurry.
I got some good buddies who would just give you a quick, you know, little tip, little couple things you can do with your swing, and I'd kind of love to see their reaction to you and like how you're kind of moving it around and stuff like that. So let me get creative. Let me find somebody. I'm thinking of a
Please.
couple names right now, and maybe we can link you up and get a little virtual lesson, quick little video of your swing, which you do at the range all the time. Maybe they can give you a couple
Let's
pointers
do
or
it.
something like that to break 90.
Let's do it, brother.
Love it, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Have a good night. Show love to your little man and say hello to your partner that's on vacation. Tell him I say hello. And till next time.
We'll do, Brycer. We got you on next time for sure.
All right.
He's out in my ball in the course, so I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross. Worst case scenario.